What exactly is the God of High School tournament? Who is Jin Mori and who are Han, Daewi and Mira? Hi, I'm Azabe. Before we start, please check the chapters of this clip to avoid unwanted spoilers. Enjoy watching. Jin Mori, Han, Daewi and Mira are the core of the story, each bringing a unique nuance to the fighting arena and throughout the story. But don't underestimate this manhwa. Behind them, there is a vast group of fascinating and mysterious secondary characters and a wide range of enemies. We will explore these aspects throughout this clip, so prepare your snacks and favorite drink and let's venture together into the universe of God of High School. Let's start with some interesting information from the wiki. The God of High School is a manhwa heavily influenced by the story Journey to the West, a Buddhist tale that presents various information about gods, demons, and the human world in Buddhism. The main character, Jin Mori, presents numerous similarities with Sun Wukong, also known as the Monkey King from Journey to the West, as do the other characters in the God of High School with those from Journey to the West. However, don't be fooled, the story is not limited to a single mythology. It includes a multitude of mythologies such as Norse mythology, Greek mythology, and Japanese mythology, among many others. More details about these aspects can be found in the spoilers section of this clip. Another interesting aspect is that in the beginning, the series was very different and was called Tough Guy. It was about a boy who wanted to become the strongest in martial arts by fighting in the God of High School tournament. Later, the series was remade with the title of this tournament, changing some things in the story, making the manhwa a standalone one with its own action and unique story. The series is heavily influenced and inspired by the action genre and Akira Toriyama creation, specifically the Dragon Ball series. And before we continue, I want to express my respect for Akira Toriyama, who unfortunately is no longer with us, passing away at the age of just 68 on March 1st, 2024. His influence is evident on the world of anime, manga, and stories in general, including this manhwa. So I'd like a few seconds of silence and wish to Akira Toriyama, rest in peace, King. And now, a few essential questions so that even those who haven't read God of High School until now can understand what this clip is about. Who is Jin Mori and who are Han, Daewi and Mira? What exactly is the God of High School tournament? Jin Mori is the protagonist of this manhwa, a boy raised by his grandfather who is extremely passionate about martial arts. One of the reasons for this crazy passion for martial arts is his grandfather. He is characterized by an energetic spirit and an unwilling enthusiasm for fighting and becoming the strongest fighter. Han Daewi is one of Jin Mori's future teammates and a participant in the God of High School martial arts tournament. He has a sad and painful past and is the type of friend who will be by your side in the most difficult moments. Throughout the tournament, Daewi becomes one of Mori's teammates and later one of his best friends and allies. Mira is a fighter with extraordinary skills in handling the sword and in martial arts involving the sword or similar weapons. She completes the trio as a team in the God of High School tournament and remains one of Mori and Daewi's best friends and allies throughout the story, and for Daewi even more than just good friends. And now about the tournament. God of High School is a martial arts tournament that represents the main focus of the series, gathering the best fighters in the world. It is the aspect on which the series begins and ends, creating a life cycle effect in the story. This tournament is not just a physical competition but also an adventure full of challenges and discoveries, offering the main characters the opportunity to demonstrate their skills and achieve their goals. It also provides time for all the characters to develop, especially the friendship of the main trio of the story, namely Mori, Daewi, and Mira. Throughout this story, we find out that the fighters do not have their own powers but borrow the power of different gods. Before entering the spoiler section, let's take a look at the trio. Jin Mori demonstrates from the very beginning of the series that he is an extremely powerful fighter, managing to break the arm of one of the administrators of the God of High School tournament, being the only one to achieve this feat. There are two main reasons why this was possible. The first reason is the rigorous training that he received from his grandfather, Jin Taijin, who due to his violent past and being very skilled in martial arts trained Mori from a young age. The second reason is that Jin Mori is not exactly a normal human, and Mori is the only one who does not use the power of a god in his fights. However, since we are not in the spoiler section, I cannot offer too many explicit details about these two reasons, but for more information and detailed explanations, I invite you to consult the spoiler section of the clip. Han Daewi is a relaxed and extremely friendly character, but also an incredible, powerful fighter throughout the story. There are two main reasons why Daewi is so strong and reliable as a friend and as a person in general. The first reason is that he trained in martial arts known as full contact karate, also known as Kyokushin karate, which are modern martial arts developed in South Korea. In addition, he possesses an ability called the secret art of the four guardian gods, a set of attacks similar to a kata invented by Daewi's master to defeat users of Renewer Taekwondo, with Jin Mori being a Renewer Taekwondo user. For those who don't know what a kata is the Japanese word used for forms in martial arts, which martial artists use when practicing alone. The secret art of the four guardian gods consists of a set of attacks designed to interrupt an opponent's offensive, offset their balance, and destroy their defense. This ability is based on the idea of creating an unnatural wind flow around the user's body and directing it to create an airburst for an unstoppable attack. Additionally, Hate is the deity from whom Daewi borrows his powers, a water creature capable of easily blocking attacks with the power borrowed from the other gods. Mira completes this trio. She is the 25th master of the fighting style called Moonlight Sword. She was training since she was a child to become a master in these martial arts. However, don't underestimate her. The only one who could match her power ever are her friends, Daewi and Mori, as they were the only ones who could constantly fight her on equal terms, no matter how each evolved in power level throughout the story. And Yopo Bongseon, also known as Lu Bu Feng Shan, is the god from whom Mira borrows the power. This power enhances her combat ability and allows her to use more high-level attacks compared to when she does not borrow the power from the god. Additionally, it improves her hand-to-hand combat style. The owner of her national treasure, the Bongseon sword, is the former sword of Lu Bu. Plus, as I mentioned, Mira becomes much more than a good friend to Daewi. Now that we have concluded the non-spoiler section, let's dive into more details about what I mean by this, as well as the rest of the things listed, about which I couldn't go into too much detail, so let's discuss in details in the upcoming spoiler section. Spoiler warning! Attention, the spoiler section of the clip follows. If you want to avoid spoilers, skip directly to the conclusion of the clip. I warned you in case of anything, so proceed at your own risk. Alright, now that we are in the spoiler section, let's discuss in more detail the relationship between Mira and Daewi. I mentioned that the two are more than friends. What do I mean by that? Well, I think it's already evident that the two form a couple throughout the story, and their love story has many ups and downs. They will even have a family, including their own children. But having children, especially those born from Mira, whose father is Daewi, it's a bit more difficult, because the two become almost completely infertile. However, they eventually manage to have children born from their own genes. If you want to find more, I recommend reading the manhwa. Now, let's move on to the Mira's powers. Throughout the story, Mira not only borrows powers from the other gods, but also assimilates them, transforming them into her own powers. One of these powers is so overwhelming that for a while, she forgets who she is and who her friends are, and ends up being manipulated. However, she is later saved by Daewi and Mori. Now, let's discuss Mira's lover and future husband, Daewi. Why did I say that Daewi has a painful past? Well, one of his best friends, with whom he was close before participating in the tournament and becoming friends with Mira and Mori, was Woo Sung-tae. Unfortunately, he suffers from an incurable disease, and since Park Mu-jin, the creator of the tournament and the one who controls its administrators, promised to the public that he could fulfill any wish, including curing incurable diseases, Daewi participates in the tournament hoping to save his friend. unfortunately his friend dies before Daewi has any chance to save him from the incurable disease. However, with the help of Mori and Mira, who becomes his girlfriend and later his wife, Daewi manages to overcome the pain of his loss. However, his childhood friend will always remain in his heart. Regarding Daewi's borrowed powers, he not only transforms them into his own powers but also gains incredible abilities such as the power of the Jade Emperor, one of the most powerful gods in Chinese culture and even the primordial god. The only god capable of facing the Jade Emperor is the Monkey King, also known as Sun Wukong. Now let's discuss the Monkey King, also known as Mori Jin. If I haven't been clear enough so far, yes, I mean that Jin Mori is actually the Monkey King, a demon from Chinese culture who later becomes a deity known as Sun Wukong, or the Great Sage, or Heaven's Equal. Essentially, he is the only deity who can stand against the most powerful gods, including the Jade Emperor. So, if you want to say that he has some kind of protection from the author, also known as plot armor, well, you couldn't be closer to the truth. This is because one of Sun Wukong's abilities is the capacity to copy any other god's ability and transform it into his own power. Additionally, it should be noted that he doesn't borrow anyone's power because if it hasn't been evident until now, he himself is an extremely powerful deity. Therefore, he doesn't need the power of any other god. However, some might be confused by the fact that he participates in the daily life of humans, even though he is a god. Well, it's because he lost his memories and doesn't know who he is or what gods are. He was brought to the level of a baby and sealed in a jade stone, found by Jin Taijin, his adoptive grandfather, and raised from infancy to adulthood. However, throughout the story, he discovers the truth about his identity and that he is the Monkey King, simultaneously regaining his memories. Despite this, he comes to realize that he is the same person but different from Sun Wukong at the same time. He ends up mastering all existing abilities of humans, demons, and gods. His powers reach a colossal level, similar to the character Sun Wukong in Journey to the West, becoming the new protector of the earth and the supreme deity over the 7 dimensions of the gods, also known as the 7 heavens. At the end of the story, his power level is not that of a supreme god, but at the level of Maitreya. For those who are confused and don't understand what Maitreya or supreme gods are, well, the deity that rules over all gods in a mythology is called the supreme god. For example, Zeus over the Greek gods, or Odin over Norse gods. The deity that rules over all gods, including supreme gods and any living being, whether god, demon, human, or a simple animal, is called Maitreya. Before moving on to the conclusion, I want to clarify some details about the God of High School tournament. It's evident that the tournament is presented as a competition to discover the strongest fighter, but in reality, this is nothing more than a lie. Mujin Park is actually searching for the heir of the one who inherits the power of the 9-tailed fox, wanting to obtain powers equal to or even superior to the gods. Throughout the story, it becomes evident that he suffers from an inferiority complex. The story features many surprising twists and turns, however, I'll let you discover them for yourselves by reading this manhwa. Now, let's move to the conclusion. After discussing everything in both the non-spoiler and the spoiler section, I think it's quite evident that I really like this series. The series is now complete, with the final chapter being the number 569. However, I have to deduct 3 points from my rating. There are 3 major problems with this series. Firstly, if you pay close attention, you will notice some oversights by the author leading to plot holes. For those who don't know what plot hole is, here is the description: an inconsistency in the narrative or character development of a book, film, TV show, etc. The second reason is that some fights are extremely drawn out, with a single fight spanning a considerable number of chapters. If the fight duration were translated into real time, would be only a few minutes or at most hours. This makes some fights frustratingly long. At least they were for me, considering I kept up with the manhwa constantly for about 2-3 years until it was completed. completed. The third reason is related to the second. Many times those drawn out fights are due to the endless twists, making you think one character will win the fight, then the other, chapter by chapter. Don't get me wrong, this creates an incredible intense action sensation that makes you want to keep reading, but sometimes it goes overboard with those twists. Therefore, I have to deduct 3 points from the final rating, bringing my score for this manhwa to a 7. I hope I clarified my opinion about the manhwa God of High School and sparked some interest. If you have other opinion, ratings or aspects you think I missed, please let me know in the comments. And if you like this type of clip, YouTube suggests that you might also enjoy this one, so give it a try. I have been Azabe, I wish you pleasant reading. Bye! God of High School. Lots of noise for little substance. An overrated series that fails to live up to the expectations. Wait, what? This microphone is still recording? Delete this!